Hi folks, John Cordisco back again. Round 12 of the 78th edition of Tata Steel Chess. This comes from the Challenger section, the B group. And I'm showing this game because it's Jordan VanForeest as white. He's from the Netherlands, he's Dutch. That's his home country he's playing at Vikingzee. And he said that, given a chance, he would play the King's Gambit. Now at this level, Grandmaster level, extremely rare. So we're going to see a hell of a game here. It's really interesting. So we have VanForeest as white and Wen Yum Ju, female player from China, as black. So it's VanForeest against Ju. Let's see how it goes. Of course, his typical King's Gambit. Accepted. Knight F3. I gotta say, honestly, I agree with Yasser Seirawan, and I think Nigel Short as well, that why would you gambit away your F-pawn and expose your king? It's the dumbest move ever. But this is from the old days, the King's Gambit, when chess was more romantic, I guess you'll call it. E takes, knight F6, bishop checks, C6, pawn takes, bishop C4. Granted, it's an even game, but I think it's a lot easier for black here. Knight D5. Interesting move there. Queen E7 check, I think, is a decent move currently for black. Bishop A6, for that matter, isn't bad. Knight. White castles. The bishop D6. Just protect the F4 pawn and get his bishop developed. Knight C3. The other bishop comes out. Knight E4. Now it's starting to get tricky. All these minor pieces in the middle, you have to be careful on the captures. You could drop a piece easily. Bishop E7, he backs off. Bishop B3. You can see in some scenarios, this bishop is undefended. It might be some tactics. I.e. maybe knight here or knight here in the future, and this bishop is unprotected. So he moves the bishop back, and black finally castles. Okay. It's a screwy game, I mean, let's tell the truth here. D4. Knight D7. Queen up. That's the last book move, by the way. A5. C4. Hitting the knight and giving an escape square for the bishop. Knight goes back to B6, A3. Just covering the B4 square. Interesting might have been C5. Then after the knight moves back, knight C3. It's worth a thought. After A3, G5, H4. Now it's getting crazy already. An interesting part is, at least by the computer setup now, the computers aren't humans. They don't feel emotions. They don't feel pressure. They're just pure calculators. Basically has the game at even. I like black, of course. H6. H takes. Knight takes. Bishop takes. Bishop takes F4 is the computer's choice. But I think the more human move by far is queen to H5. Just putting pressure on black's position, and especially the G5 bishop. Bishop F6 just backs him off. Look how exposed that king is. D5. I will have to say, though, in screwy positions like this, it's really easy to screw up. Really easy. C takes, bishop checks, the in-between move, knight F2, then the knight takes the pawn. Bishop takes. Got a lot of exchanges, and look at these pawns, you're just scattered everywhere. Got double F pawns, no pawns in front of the king. Yeah, but that's a really, really annoying pin on the F2 knight. What Yasser Seirawan refers to as an eternal pin. And the bishop on C1 hasn't even been developed yet. And oddly enough, it's got a small advantage for black. What to do, what to do? Queen takes. Now the material's even. Those of you keeping track. Actually, it's the same dark squared bishop against two knights. So it is technically even. Knight to e5. Queen takes. Rook takes. Bishop takes. All right, white's up a pawn, but still got that incredibly freaking annoying pin on the f2 knight. Knight to g4. Bishop g3. Knight to e3, hitting the rook. Rook goes to b1. Save that pawn. f5. And this is where I think white stumbles. And it makes perfect sense. Rook a2. What he's trying to do is, of course, be able to move the pawn and horizontally defend the knight. But the mistake is f4. Is it a huge mistake? No, but it's the beginning of the end. Bishop, rook d7. Now the knight can finally move. There's no decent checks for the discovery with a knight. So he goes rook g7. She goes bishop f2. This puts it back. Rook f6. Getting things lined up. g3. Now it's starting to get crazy. I'm not sure what side I would take. Probably I would take the black side at this point. I mean, look at this rook. This rook is definitely out of play. This one is, we'll call them both out of play. She's almost 2 rooks down, or he's almost 2 rooks down. A bishop takes, knight takes, a b4. Finally, the rook gets exposed to work. Knight checks. It's an almost 2-point advantage now for black. I think a little bit easier might have been rook takes check, then rook to g2. Probably check with a knight on f3, but she decided to go knight f3 check first. Then king moves up. Pawn takes check. King basically has to go to e3. Rook comes over, and here comes the march of the king. Rook. Right now, black's up by 2 points. I mean, it all sucks, but I think king to c3 is the best move. He decides to go king to c4. And we're on move 39. Maybe they were having some time trouble. Now it's over. Now watch the finish here. It's beautiful. Knight checks. King to c5. She doesn't take. She goes knight to e4. King to c4. Now the other rook comes over, forcing king to b3. a4 check. Beautiful. King has to take. Knight checks. If king goes to b3, knight takes the rook. So he decided to, just for the fans here, he went to a5. And the other rook mates. Beautiful game. Wild game. They're fun to watch. They're probably not so much fun to play. But VanForeest told his friends there at the tournament that he was going to try to play at least one game of the King's Gambit. And he did. And unfortunately he lost. But I thought it was a fine ending. The young lady from China, Wen Jun Yu, or Ju, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, is J-U. Anyway, folks, that was a great game from the 12th round of the 78th edition of Tata Steel Chess, the Challenger section. I hope you enjoyed it. I want you all to remember, if you think chess is just a game, you're not playing it right. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.